So 2023 is over and now it is time to strategize for 2024 so you end that with a bang. If changing your job is in the cards for you, or getting out of your workplace, or you might just be browsing the job market next year to see what more is out there, then this video is for you. It is my prediction that 2024 is going to be a tough year in terms of recruitment because we're going to see a lot of migration happening around the world. We're going to see a huge surge of applicants in the job market with the layoffs that we saw in 2023, or people just choosing more hybrid or remote opportunities and getting out of their daily 9-to-5 old boring jobs. So aka there is going to be more competition. The trick to landing your dream job is always starting early before the competition hits the market or before everybody realizes they want to change their jobs after celebrating New Year's and Christmas, because people are going to be in the holiday mode for the first half of the year, and that is when you strike. So in today's video, I'm going to be diving deep with you in what you can do in the early intervention phase to avoid an overly crowded and congested job market. So let's get into it. Number one, understand your options. The biggest problem I see 99% of job seekers when they start applying for jobs make is that they just dive into it without any strategy or goal in mind. So what they do is they just start sending their resume or firing it all in all directions, hitting the apply now button with no clear strategy and vision. And that is the biggest mistake you could be making in 2024. And here's why. Number one, applying for different roles will require you to spend more effort into customizing your CV or your resume every time you apply to a new role. Now that's wasted energy, resources, and time. Or number two, you're lazy and you don't really care about customizing your CV and you're sending the same resume to all the jobs, which is again a big mistake because the recruiter can see that you are lazy and the recruiter will not shortlist you. So what's the solution? The solution is that you need to spend time even before you start applying for jobs into understanding what is your current work experience, what is your current skill set, what are some good things that you're good at, aka some compliments you've gotten in your current role or your past roles, what are your strengths, and what kind of different roles or job descriptions you can explore with your skill set. And if you don't agree with me, I'm going to give you the biggest reason why you need to do this exercise into understanding what you're good at, aka your skill set or your expertise, even before you start writing your resume, is how can you even think of trying to write your resume when you don't even know what your current work experience is, what is your current skill set, your strengths, and how you can tailor that to the jobs that you're applying for. Number two, understand your target job roles. Spend at least 2 to 3 hours before even starting to write your resume looking on different kind of roles within your industry on LinkedIn, Seek.co.nz, or Indeed, or any other platform that you use in your country to read the requirements and the skills section of different roles. My biggest advice is to at least spend time reading 20 to 30 job descriptions to understand what are some non-negotiable skills and what are some required skill set from different roles within your industry. After you've made a list of what skills recruiters are looking for from a desired candidate, you want to go back to the list we made in step 1 on what you're good at, aka your strengths, what is your current work experience, your expertise, or maybe what kind of certificates and courses you've done that have developed that skill set. Now this exercise will help you understand two things. Number one, what are some most common type of roles you are qualified for or you should be targeting? Number two, what are some skills, technical or interpersonal, required from you to enable you to be shortlisted for interviews? I'm going to explain you by giving me as an example. I was applying for jobs about a month ago to look for better roles and a better pay in the market. Now, because I've been working 2 years as a development engineer, the number one thing I did was I made a list of all the technical skills I've gained and all the interpersonal skills I've gained from my 2 years of working. Then I spent at least a day looking at Seek, Indeed, and LinkedIn to look at what roles are currently available in the market and what are the key requirements. This exercise, step 1 and step 2, helped me understand that I am actually qualified for infrastructure planner roles, senior development engineer roles, team leader roles, utilities engineer roles, and roles within the Three Waters network. So in short, this exercise helped me align my job search to the roles that I'm actually qualified for instead of wasting my time applying for all the jobs out there and facing multiple job rejections and lowering my self-confidence. Number 3, make a brag list. What do I mean by that? Make a list of all your achievements, recognitions, any shout outs, or any time somebody said, good job. The number one thing that I did during my last 2 years working as development engineer was to make a brag list. I literally made a folder in my Outlook and dragged every email during the last 2 years on any time any client has said thank you, great job, any recognition from a manager, any awards I've won, or anywhere I've volunteered or been a part of initiatives across the business. This exercise actually helped me write a killer achievement-focused resume to bring out how great of a candidate I am and what more I do beyond my job description. And also how good I am at my job, and my current job is going to be missing me a lot when I leave. Recruiters, as much as the job description will say they need technical skill set, nowadays, especially in 2024, my prediction is recruiters are going to be focusing a lot on your interpersonal skill set. This is because technical skills can be taught, but interpersonal skill set are developed through life experiences. Recruiters in 2024 won't just care about the fact that you can code or build a website, but what they will care about is whether you're the right fit for their organization and their team, and whether you're a good person who does care about the team that they're with and puts their hand up once in a while to be a part of the overall business mission and goals. Number 4, the right resume template. Now, if you know me from my Instagram, I am big on ATS friendly resume templates. And the reason for that is if you are putting in the effort, the time and resources into writing an amazing resume, or maybe getting somebody's help to write a resume, you want to make sure that the template that you're putting the contents in is ATS friendly and will be read by hiring software. 90% of the time, our CVs are getting read by hiring software or applicant tracking system, which means that even before a recruiter clicks on your profile and looks at your resume, a robot is screening your resume and matching it to the job description to prepare a similarity ratio to recommend you as an applicant to the recruiter. So it's really, really important that even before you start to write your resume, you need to go online and find an applicant tracking system friendly resume. Now, you can go for a simple Word template because they are super safe and I highly recommend them. Or you can check out my range of ATS templates that have been tested over 400 people across 18 countries because I am the ATS queen. Number 5, quantify your skill set and your achievements. The reason I ask people to quantify their skill set, aka put a number on it, is because once you put a number on it, it is easy for the recruiter to visualize the impact of your skill set on the business's productivity and operations. There are 2 ways to quantify your skill set. Number 1, with metrics or numbers. Number 2, with achievements or deliverables. So let me break down both of them for you. Let's go into number 1, metrics or numbers. So if you're a civil engineer like me and you have access to how many applications you're processing, what is the productivity looking like, how much money you've saved, or what are your deliverables, or how many staff you've managed, or how you look after the health and safety and how many accidents or incidents you've reduced, amazing. Put all of that in your resume. Your metrics or your performance is carefully monitored by your manager, and that is to see how much percentage of salary raise you should get at the end of the year. And a lot of times we're not happy with the salary raise we get because, well, companies don't really care about us, and we've all been there. But you can actually take that as an opportunity to write those numbers down so that you can put them in your resume and showcase how good you are to potential companies and recruiters. So my biggest tip is next time you go in a one-on-one catch-up with your manager, ask them for numbers in terms of your productivity, in terms of your output, in terms of escalations you've managed, client satisfaction, or any metrics they use within senior management to track your performance. Get those numbers, put them in your resume. Let's get on to the second way of showcasing or quantifying your skill set, which is through your achievements or your deliverables. So for example, you might be an oncologist or a doctor who don't really have access to these numbers because your job is not really tracked in terms of numbers, but it's tracked in terms of the impact you're having, the kind of projects you're doing, or the kind of patients you're dealing with, aka your deliverable. There is a way to showcase that too. Good resumes are not just about numbers, but they're also about showcasing your achievements, your initiatives, and your skill set. So here's an example on the screen on how you can quantify your skill set without putting any numbers on it, but only focusing on your achievements and deliverables. So my biggest advice is if you can find numbers in terms of how much work you're doing and how good you are at your job, great. get it from your manager. And if you don't have access to those numbers, or your manager is reluctant to give you those numbers, try to quantify it yourself if you can. Or you may be in a profession where it is not at all possible. You may be a fashion designer or a doctor or an oncologist where it's not possible to put numbers on your resume. It's okay. Focus on the achievements, initiatives, and innovation. Number 6, cover letters. Now, cover letters are excruciating and painful to write, and you might actually be applying for 200 jobs and you are worried that you'll have to write 200 cover letters. And I get it, we are all in the same boat. Everybody hates cover letters, but cover letters are very important and a step that you cannot miss. With 2024 being extremely congested and overly competitive, cover letters are your key to stand out in the job market. Even if the job description or the job portal says cover letters are optional, you must submit a cover letter. And to make things easy for you, here are 3 things you need to answer in your cover letter to stand out and make the recruiter want to give you a call back. Number 1, what is it that you're good at? What is your skill set or expertise, aka brag? If you're a professional like me who's been in the industry for, let's say, 4 years, recruiters can tell how good you're at your job and what kind of specialization you have developed through the projects you've led. So you must answer this question in your cover letter. Number 2, how are you the right fit for the role you are applying for? Now, this comes from reading the requirements section of the job description carefully and bridging that gap for the recruiter that you need X, Y, and Z skills, and I have developed those X, Y, and Z skills by working on A, B, and C projects, aka giving examples of the projects you've worked on and showcasing the recruiter that you have the skills that they're looking for. Number 3, why do you want to work with that company, or why do you want to relocate for the job? The difference between an average versus a great cover letter is how well in-depth research you've done about that company on their LinkedIn, Facebook, social media channels to show that you are driven to be a part of their team, their culture, and their business. Last tip number 7, preparing for the 15 minutes impromptu interview call. There is nothing more disappointing than you having to get an interview call within the first 30 days of applying to your dream job and you messing it up because you were not ready for it, it caught you at a bad time, too much stress at work, or whatever that reason is. Preparing for those 15 minutes shortlisting call should be your main thing you should do once your resume and cover letter is ready and you're firing it off to the jobs you're targeting. Recruiters will call you on a random day with no notice at all to see if you are the candidate you are saying in your resume and to see if you can answer some preliminary questions that will make you eligible to go into the final interview round. So my biggest advice is keep your script ready for the 15 minutes impromptu interview call to make sure you make it to the final round so you can exit your current job ASAP. Here are 2 questions that literally every recruiter on the planet will ask, whether you are an IT professional or a marketing professional or a fashion designer or a doctor. Number 1, why are you looking to change from your current role? Recruiters want to know, why are you changing your current role? Is it because you have reached a plateau in your professional development, or maybe the job is toxic, or what is the reason you're looking for a change? Number 2, what exactly are you doing in your current role and what is your skill set? Recruiters also want to know if you can give them examples of how you have X, Y, and Z technical or interpersonal skill set through the projects you've led. So what essentially a recruiter is asking you is to give a summary of the work you're doing presently and what kind of projects you've led so they can see whether your skill set is transferable into the role they're recruiting. They could ask you some additional questions if they want. For example, why do you want to work with us, or do you know anything about us? And that would require you to do some research and keep an Excel file or a tracker to track all the applications you're applying, or maybe some technical questions or specific questions to the job role. So for example, you might be applying for a team leader position. So they could ask you questions like, have you led a team before? Have you supervised team performance? Have you led projects before? Have you managed finances, etc., etc.? So just make sure you are ready for those basic impromptu questions to clear the 15 minutes interview round. The purpose of a 15 minutes impromptu interview call is to check whether you're lying on your resume or not. Is it that you are who you say you are on your resume? And number 2 is how good you are in communication and whether the recruiter can see you doing well in the final interview round down so they don't waste the time and resources of the other managers within their business. Well, there you have it. These are the 7 things you need to do from 1st January when the clock hits 1 to make sure you get more job interviews within the first 90 days in 2024 so you can land your job when everybody is waking up from their graves to start looking for jobs. And if you want to know how you can further work on your resume, this video is for you. And if you want to know what kind of cover letter mistakes you need to avoid in 2024, then this video is for you. And I'll see you next time.